Hi, my name is Tom and today I want to talk to you about another set of diffusion filters. This time I have the Tiffen Soft FX. I have two versions again. I have the Soft FX 2 and the Soft FX 3. So first of all, thank you so much for almost 3,000 views at this point on my last video, which was also my first video. So I did not expect that at all, to get this much attention on my first video on this channel, which had 0 subscribers, 0 views, and now it's got a bit of traffic. And yeah, this motivated me a lot to do this video now, where I want to compare the Soft FX filter with the Black Promised, which is the most widely used or well-known filter on YouTube, I think, for diffusion. Okay, so if you're new to this topic, then I suggest watching my first video, because this is where I go more into detail on why you should use diffusion filters in the first place, what the philosophy behind it all is, and why I think it's a very essential part to make your movie look like a movie. So I should suggest watching that video first. It's about the Black Promised filter, which is also, as I said, one of the most popular diffusion filters out there. But in short, if you don't have time for the other video, just as a quick explanation, these filters basically help you to bring back a more film-like, more cinematic feel to your videos and kind of remove the more harshness, sharp digital look and basically make everything more pleasing to the eye, in my opinion. It's a very controversial topic to some people, so don't take my word for it, just make up your own mind. But in my opinion, they play an essential part to making your movie look like a movie. So just to compare the Soft FX to the Black Promised in terms of appearance, like if you look at both filters, they look quite different if you look at them closely. The Black Promised has these black spots everywhere, and depending on the strength, there's more or less. And the Soft FX has more like these, I don't know what you would call it, like ridges or lenslets is, I think, the official Tiffen explanation. To me, it just looks like the whole filter is drenched in oil or some liquid. And yeah, you can definitely tell that there's a different approach as to how these filters diffuse your picture. As you can see, the Soft FX has a bit more of an extreme effect, in my opinion. It could be because it's a different strength, so I don't have a Black Promised 1 or 2 to compare. But overall, the Black Promised is not really as aggressive, in my opinion. It doesn't attack the sharpness as much. It more focuses on blooming and giving this whole picture a more misty feel. I mean, it's in the name, so it should have this effect, I guess. And the Soft FX has a more overall effect on the whole picture. Like, it doesn't just bloom highlights, it also reduces sharpness to a much greater degree, in my opinion. Like, the whole picture is affected. It's not just the lamp or the face or something else. It's the highlights, it's the dark shadows, it's everything gets a more soft look. And yeah, if you film something in 4K and then you have a Soft FX 3 on there, it's not gonna look like it's filmed in 4K. It's gonna look like 1080p or less, which in some cases could be cool, in some cases it isn't really cool. So in my opinion, the Soft FX, as you can see, has a more overall effect on the whole picture, as to the Black Promised, who has a more subtle approach and just blooms and affects certain areas of the picture and not the whole thing, I guess. Just to give you a bit more of an artsy type explanation, the Soft FX kind of smooths out everything. It feels like an oil painting that not just blooms the highlights but smears them a bit, especially the stronger version like the Soft FX 3 that I have, which isn't as sharp, has more kind of flaws everywhere and kind of does some crazy things with the light. And the Black Pro Mist is a more clean approach. It's still a filmic look, but more modern, more sharp, and yeah, overall more controlled, I guess. To sum it up in a different way, the Soft FX 2 and 3 give you an old school type cinema look, and the Black Pro Mist kind of gives you a modern cinema look. Keep in mind, these are all my explanations and my philosophy behind it. You have to keep in mind that all these filters are attached to a Sony RX10, which is a more like camcorder style bridge camera, which is not very expensive. So when I say this filter gives you a modern cinema look, you have to like put that into perspective. Like, I'm not using an Arri Alexa or anything like that. But yeah, to me, these filters really help my camera to look more like a cinema camera. Okay, so let's talk about some stuff that I don't really like about these filters. Some of the stuff is the exact same problem that I have with the Black Pro Mists. Reflections, as an example, which always happens when you have another piece of glass in front of your lens, as I already mentioned in the other video. You can't really get rid of these reflections. Some of them look cool. In case of the Soft FX, they even look appropriate sometimes, like they should be there, because the whole overall image gets smeared a bit. So when you have these light streaks and reflections, it makes it almost look like even more vintage or anamorphic even. Another thing that I don't really like, which was the same problem with the Black Pro Mist, is the price. They are also pretty expensive in the big sizes, and even stronger versions are pretty expensive. The lighter ones, which are more sought after, like half and one, which I don't have because I'm not rich, as I said, are the most expensive. So yeah, maybe you're lucky. You could be a bit more lucky with these filters because they are not as well known as the Black Pro Mist, but overall all these Tiffen diffusion filters, especially in the lighter densities, can get a bit expensive. Another thing that's a bit annoying with this filter is that the jump from one density to another is a bit too high, in my opinion. Like, as you could see in the comparisons, the difference between the Soft FX 2 and the Soft FX 3 is pretty freaking big, in my opinion. And I wish there would be like 2.5, just like they have with other filters. So I don't really understand why they don't offer that, but yeah, I guess you have to live with that. There is a Soft FX half, and then it just starts with 1, 2, 3, 4, and I don't know if there's a 5, but that would be way too strong for anything. But yeah, that's a bit annoying in my opinion. And I don't really get why they don't offer something else. Maybe it's because it's a very old version and there are different kind of diffusion filters. I don't know if Tiffen even makes the Soft FX these days, but yeah, it's annoying. Last problem that is also not really a problem for most people, I think, is the autofocus performance. I use the RX10 Mark II, as I already mentioned, which only has contrast-based autofocus, so something like the GH5, which also has not great autofocus, would probably struggle a bit more with the Soft FX than with the Pro Mist. That's the case with my camera, so I guess it would be with other contrast-based cameras as well. So if that's a problem for you, maybe keep that in mind. I think most people use manual focus anyway, especially for these types of videos. But I mostly like using autofocus, and then I set the focus and put it on manual. And with this filter, especially the Soft FX 3, which is very extreme, it's sometimes very hard to get things in focus because everything is kind of out of focus and blurry. And yeah, the autofocus algorithm gets confused quite a bit. But it also happens with the Soft FX 2, which is not as extreme. So yeah, I guess this type of diffusion is a bit more confusing overall for autofocus systems. So in conclusion, what do I think about the Soft FX filters 2 and 3? Let's first talk about the Soft FX 3. I think you saw in those comparisons that the filter has a very strong effect on the overall picture, a bit too strong in my opinion. So for most use cases, I wouldn't really recommend it, but it's still very fun to use. I used it on a whole music video shoot where I went for more old school, dirty, Super 8 kind of look, and it worked very well for that. But yeah, this filter gives the whole picture less contrast and everything gets blown out, the highlights. Sometimes you lose all detail and nothing, even if you shoot in 4K, will look like 4K. So keep that in mind. This filter is pretty extreme, but yeah, for special use cases, maybe makeup even, if you really want to remove a lot of facial flaws, because it just removes the details basically and smooths everything out. And I don't know, interviewing people, like close-ups, for that kind of stuff, I could imagine using this filter, so I don't regret buying it, especially since it wasn't as expensive. But yeah, it's more a specialized kind of filter that I wouldn't really recommend for overall use. So now the Soft FX 2. It's a lot less extreme, as I already said. The jump from the different kind of densities is way bigger. And the Soft FX 2 is very cool. I like it a lot. I used it also on a whole music video, and yeah, the look it gave me was perfect. As I said, it's more of an old school type of look, but yeah, it still does kind of the same things that a Black Pro Mist half or one would do, but it's just a more overall effect on the whole picture. It reduces sharpness a bit more and gives everything a more vintage type of look that I really, really like. And honestly, this will be tough sometimes for me to choose what I would like take for my next music video shoot that is supposed to be a bit more artsy, more fancy, or more vintagey. Like, it's a cool filter, it's a cool alternative to the Black Pro Mist, and I am very glad that I bought it. Okay, so if I could only choose one, the 2 or the 3, I would definitely choose the 2. I think that surprises no one, but yeah, I really like the Soft FX 2. Then another question, if I could only choose one filter from all the ones I showed you, I would still think I'd take the Black Pro Mist half. I think this is still the best overall all-round effect that works on pretty much everything. It still smooths out the details a bit, reduces sharpness a little bit, and blooms nicely and gives everything a modern cinema look, which I really, really enjoy. And the Soft FX 2, which also has a similar type of look, especially in wide shots and where you're not really zoomed in on something. It does things very similarly, but also in a different way. So it's a bit more specialized. So if I had to choose, Black Pro Mist is still number 1 for me, and that's probably also the reason why it's the most popular one everywhere. So yeah, Soft FX, you don't really hear about people using that filter, but I think it's definitely underrated, and I will continue to use the Soft FX just to be like a hipster who doesn't want to use the Black Pro Mist. And as I said, it still looks very good. Sometimes it looks even cooler with lights. It's hard to explain, I don't know. So just to conclude, the Soft FX is great. I like the 2 a lot, and the 3 is also pretty cool, but a bit too extreme for general types of use cases. So I would recommend you to get Soft FX 1 or 2. As I said, I only have the 2 and the 3. I can only tell you that the 1 would be less extreme even than the 2. As I said, the jumps are very big between each densities, so keep that in mind. So the 1 or the 2 is probably the best for most people. I like the 2 a lot, and I'm very happy with what I have now. But Black Pro Mist is still king. Okay, so that's it. Thank you so much for watching. As I already said, I'm very happy with the reception from my last video, and I hope this video will get some attention as well. So if you watched this far, please consider liking the video and subscribing, because I will do more of these videos. I already said I wanted to do way more of these videos, but then yeah, life got a bit weird. I had to move, and yeah, now things are a bit back to normal, I guess. I mean, the whole world is upside down at the moment, so who knows what's gonna happen. But as of right now, I'm planning to do more videos, be more consistent, have a bit more of a routine, and I don't know, be a YouTuber, I guess. So yeah, subscribe, like the video, follow me on Instagram if you like. I'm trying to be more active on there as well. And yeah, thank you for watching.